So tell me, we've not met before.
No.
We just exchanged mails and we talked on phone as you were preparing to go and study in Estonia.
Mm-hmm.
So, how has it been?
It was complicated at first because there's a whole visa process and getting there. But once I've been there, it's been a wonderful experience. I just would never trade it for anything. And 3.5 years later, I'm still there. So, yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what is it that made you go to study in Estonia? Where did you find out about Estonia? Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
It's Google that sent me there, or brought it up, basically, because I had been searching for my program in very many different universities, and I think they kind of kept my search history. And one day I was in the office and I got a pop-up that said, study, work in organizational psychology in Estonia. I was like, where? And so just clicked on it, followed it, and it ended up being exactly what I was looking for. So sent in the application and I was accepted. And then that's when I contacted you to start finding out how, what's the process to get in there. So, yeah, but it was really, because I'd never heard of anybody and not really heard about the country. So it was not an option. And when I Googled, it never came up as one of the places to go study working organizational psychology. I was either redirected to universities in Sweden, in the UK, in the Netherlands, and so not Estonia until, yeah.
Interesting. And so did you find the process difficult?
Yes, because then the information was not easily accessible, so I didn't really know what I was doing. But it was just a lot of questions, a lot of reaching out, like the way you say calling you, and I'm like, but why am I going there again? So I can't do it here? No. And so it's just that at that time, the information was not very accessible, clear on what the process is. So that is what I found difficult and challenging. But but otherwise, everything else, once I got there, then everything else was very clear, and we were given very direct information of what we have to do, when we have to do it. So that now was easy, but that was when I got there. Mm-hmm. Before getting there, getting a hand on the necessary information was a little complicated.
So what you were referring to, why you have to go there, you were talking about the visa application.
Yes, the visa application.
So the student visa, you had to apply for it in Cairo.
Yes.
And how many days were you in Cairo that time when you applied?
I didn't stay. It was went, submitted my application, and then left. Because, there's the standard 2 weeks waiting period, and it was it would not be safe for me to spend 2 weeks there with the revolution. And then I came back to Nairobi. I got the email saying they have granted me my visa, and so then I flew back there and got it, and then came back here and started getting ready to leave.
Okay, all right. And so, to your knowledge, are there any other Kenyan students right now in Estonia?
No. I've not met any Kenyan students, but I did meet one who came for part of his PhD thesis, so he was there about a semester, and he left. But I've not heard about it, but they may be. I've just not yet.
You've not met him?
We've not met, yeah.
But there are many from Nigeria.
Yes, there are very many from Nigeria.
And how do you think they have overcome some of those visa challenges? Because they equally have to travel out of Nigeria to apply for their student visas.
Mm-hmm. When I got there, we found out that actually, the university I was in, we did have a recruiter from the university who is Nigerian, who went to Nigeria and recruited people. So they had first-hand information. They knew exactly what they needed to do. The process was already defined for them. And so I would say it was much easier for them to now know what to do because they already had someone to get past experiences from and know what to do. And so when I also got to Estonia, he took a bunch of us to go and do the process all together because he already has the experience. So I think that definitely makes it a lot easier for Nigerians to arrive there and have overcome the challenges that I faced.
Mm-hmm. And the 3 years that you've been there, have you seen how the international student population is growing, or?
It's ridiculously fast.
Okay.
Because when I got there, we all knew each other. We were such a small community. We knew 5 girls, we're only 5 girls, and the others are guys, and we could all meet up and go for coffee, all of us together. But now, no, that cannot happen. We are very many of us that you can't keep track of it anymore.
I hear it's about 10 times growth every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, we sit there and we're like, wow.
What do you think is the attraction? What attracts the foreign students? What do you think?
Well, first it starts with getting accepted in the program. So if they're accepting a larger number of students, then I've been accepted. So the next step is we now come to Estonia. Mm-hmm. So I do know, like maybe some other countries, they make it very hard, the cutoff point on who they're accepting. It's really, really a tight cutoff point. So not very many people get accepted into the program. So then not very many people end up going. I would also say that the cost of living is manageable. So as a student, if you budget right and do everything just right enough, it's something you can afford while you're being comfortable, so it's something that I would say also attracts. But the first step is getting accepted, and then from then on, you move on.
And how do you compare, in your experience, living costs in Tallinn and living costs in Nairobi, for example?
Here is expensive.
Nairobi is more expensive.
Nairobi is more expensive than in Tallinn. So yes, where you are, it is more expensive here than there.
Okay, all right. And any words of advice that you'd give to maybe Kenyan students who are thinking of studying in Estonia?
Well, I'd tell them not to overlook Estonia because it's not popular or it's not quite known and so give Estonia a really good chance. Make it like your first choice to actually want to come there. It's an amazing experience. Estonians are friendly, they are honest. It's a very safe place to be in, and I only have good things to say because it's been really, really good experience for me. So I definitely tell students, just give it a try, and it could open up a lot of doors for you that you never thought you had.
And like now you mentioned that you're working for TransferWise, one of the Estonian startups that has gone really global. So once you've finished with your studies, it's easy to get a job?
First, I would say you have to consider what your program was in. So there's some programs that definitely it's easier to get a job because Estonia is it's very fintech. So if you're a software designer and computer science, you're probably recruited before you actually even graduate. There could be others that are not as easy to get into because you'd be required to know Estonian language. So if you don't know it, then it's a lot harder to then break into that job category. So I don't want to say it's easy. I'll just say it depends on what you're studying, and then you could move on from there.
Okay. And any last words for the Estonian administration that organizes for foreign students? What advice would you give them maybe what would benefit other students coming?
Well, I can only talk about Kenya. So if there was somewhere closer to go to apply for a visa, because even if Nigerians may have to go to Cairo, it's not as far as Nairobi to Cairo. It's not as expensive as Nairobi to Cairo. So if there's a way it can be, if there's an easier process, maybe I can mail my visa applications and we don't actually have to fly all the way there and do it in person, then that would definitely encourage most people to send an application and hope for the best. And then another thing would just that's
the only thing.
That I know a lot of people could consider it, but once you get to that visa process part is where it may discourage a lot of people because again, you're not 100% sure you're getting it, but you're also investing a lot of time and money to get all the way to Cairo, and so it's it makes it a little bit more difficult than if someone applies for Canadian visa and there's a Canadian embassy here, and they'll find out that same day whether they get it or not, and then they can move on with their lives. So even the waiting period for 2 weeks, it makes it a little bit discouraging, because you're in limbo for those 2 weeks. Am I going? Am I not going? Am I going? Am I not going?
But in terms of the programs, in terms of giving guidance to foreign students, in terms of the university structures, living structures, anything in that regard, or in that regard you feel it's any advice, any comments, anything that you feel could be done differently?
No, if I'm to think about the program, I enjoyed my program. We were very few students in the class, and so it allowed for you to have a better relationship with your professor, because they're not overwhelmed, and also to get to know your course mates much better, because again, we're not too many of us. So then that also made the classes very interactive, and we could different learning styles, from debates to projects and presentations, because we were not many. So I love that. That very encouraging. Accommodation, it was already taken care of before I got there, so the university does try to accommodate international students as fast as they can. So at least by the time I was arriving there, I had somewhere to go to and somewhere to stay, so that was relaxing, that I wasn't getting there and suddenly start looking for somewhere to stay. The university setup is made that international students are very engaged in a lot of things, so they have a lot of events and opportunities, and they ask you to come join them, and so they really want to encourage you to be social, and they want to keep you with them. I think it's good if you work hard and you manage your grades. They also offer different opportunities. If you do really well with your grades, you can get to go on Erasmus if your program has that option. So I was able to go to the Netherlands, so it was a wonderful experience. So that's definitely an option if you work hard, and I feel that it's very structured. You know what's required of you and what you shouldn't do. It's very safe again, and then it's very honest. It's very honest, in communication. So that makes it easier for you to also know what you're supposed to do. So it's been a very good experience for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.